control the zone against this Oklahoma State offense that also has some power and some speed.
They do. Tia Warsop is tied for the lead in the Big 12 right now, batting .429, just a sophomore. Now, this is an Oklahoma State team, though, coming off a series win against Baylor. They haven't played a ton of games. They've missed 4, so they've only played 28 games coming into this midweek contest with Georgia. Excited to get back into the rhythm of playing regular softball again. And this is flared to short. 1 down.
Roland, the sophomore, as you mentioned, Matt, she's crafty. She's going to be in the low 60s. She's got that really good late sharp movement, drop ball, rise ball combination, so she likes to try to expand the zone, but she also uses that screwball east and west to be able to get lefties to get jammed up, and that's a outside pitch, a screwball that she likes to throw to the righties to try to get them to bite off the outside part of the plate. Big key for her is going to be limiting those free passes,
which is something that Georgia as a staff has struggled with this year. That and the errors in the infield. And what do you think? Part of that, the youth for this Georgia team?
100%. It's people sometimes out of position a little bit or put in a situation where when there are runners on base, it creates chaos. And so now as a young infielder, you're having to worry about the lead runner as well as that ground ball potentially it's hit to you.
Well, Rosie Davis can certainly create chaos, has moved around the lineup quite a bit for Kenny Gajewski. In fact, she was dropped deep in the lineup in Game 3 against Baylor, a challenge from the head coach. She responded with a 3-for-3 day.
Yeah, Kenny Gajewski is not afraid to challenge his athletes. He's very honest with them, and there's a good chance that if you have find yourself falling down that lineup card, that he's giving you a little bit of a message like, hey, you need to turn that spigot on.
There are few coaches at any level in any sport that will give it to you as straight as Kenny Gajewski. He has been to 5 straight Women's College World Series as his starting second baseman draws a 1-out walk.
Well, and that's big. That's going to be part of the scouting report going up against Rolling, is knowing that you've got to make her throw pitches through the zone, and Oklahoma State already making that happen. Rosie Davis drawing that walk.
The 117 walks by this Georgia staff, the most in the SEC. A mile-high pop-up middle of the infield. And caught for out number 2 by Paisley Allen.
Well, and that's a big out, a first pitch. Pop up to the infield, and on the flip side of that for Oklahoma State, those are the non-productive outs you cannot have. You have to force the hand of your opponent, make that pitcher throw through the zone. And if you're going after a first pitch, it has to be piped.
That's part of what Kenny Gajewski told us in our call with him preparing for this stretch run, playing Georgia tonight, then a 2-game series against Georgia Tech here in the state of Georgia. Still finding that balance of patience at the plate and attacking at the plate. Quickly 0-2 to Carly Godwin.
Yeah, and Rolling has good late sharp movement. I mean, she's that left-handed spin. It's one of the most important aspects of getting a swing and miss, is that ability to throw from that left side. And Kenny talked about it.
That's a good piece of hitting right up the middle.
Pitchers have a tendency to make at times.
So now 2 on and 2 out for Talon Edwards, who last year led the team in walks and runs. Another player in this lineup that has recently been challenged by Kenny Gajewski.
Edwards, she's been a force since the day she stepped on campus at Oklahoma State. I mean, just made a huge impact as a freshman last year, as a sophomore, in more of a leadership role now. A lot of high expectations for this young lady.
One of the great athletes, not only in the Big 12, but in collegiate softball at large.
A lot of fun to just really watch the energy levels, knowledge of the game.
2-1 from Rowling. To the right side, it's off the glove of Allen. Everyone's safe, and in to score comes Rosie Davis.
Play that can be made, but again, you have the walk in the inning, you have the hit back up the middle on an 0-2 pitch. Those are the things with the young teams that put you in a position to potentially have to be shifted more towards a 3-4 hole instead of up the middle. Ball goes through the infield, your opponent scores.
Allen, one of 7 freshmen and 8 newcomers on Tony Baldwin's roster, which for the last 2 years has been veteran laden. You think about the All-Americans that they lost coming into this year, Michelle. 3 former All-Americans no longer part of the Georgia Bulldogs softball program.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you look at the gaudy numbers that they ended up losing, and Sarah Mosley, Jada Kearney, and Sydney Kuma, those 3 amazing athletes. A lot of home run numbers graduated out for Georgia.
3-0 count to Tia Warsop. Maybe not a hotter hitter in the Big 12 right now than this sophomore, originally hailing from England.
Warsop with a lot of tools. Kenny Gajewski really loves her in that 6 hole because he says it's almost like another leadoff, almost like a Megan Diadil. She's the leadoff hitter for Oklahoma State.
Chance to do some more damage with Carly Godwin at second base. And a full count with 2 down. And she's rung up on the outside corner. A big pitch by Randy Rowling to get out of the jam. Stranding 2. Oklahoma's 3 games against the Baylor Bears. And tonight, this is the Georgia lineup that will be tasked with trying to score runs against Ruby Malin. Jaden Godwin coming off a nice series against LSU, in which the Bulldogs handed the Tigers one of just 2 losses all year. That's how well LSU is playing right now, a top 5 team in the country.
Yeah, LSU has a lot of tools, and I feel like there's a lot of teams in the SEC we could talk about that have really good records.
What else
really
is
good
new?
Exactly. This is a juggernaut of a league. And Georgia has found out just how strong everybody is, obviously, with a couple of big matchups early.
Coming off 3 straight SEC series losses, albeit to top 10 teams. Now you get a midweek matchup against one of the hottest pitchers in the Big 12 and another top 20 showdown for Georgia.
Well, and this is an opportunity for this young Georgia team to really, try to get back on track, facing a very good pitching staff.
Up the middle, and a leadoff single for Tyler Ellison, who continues to lead the Georgia Bulldogs in batting average.
Malin is just a lot of power at the high end of the zone in 60s to 70 miles an hour. Great experience in leadership. You'll see her really control the infield, talk to her team, and she can just flat out make the ball disappear. She's got that great drop ball that just rolls off the table, a rise ball that's hoppy at the top of the zone. She can expand. So she is just in control, really does a lot with the ball when she's in the circle.
Davis, a 4-year starter, will dig in with nobody out and a runner at first. Has not seen a lot of strikes thrown her way, but she does get one right there on the first pitch from Malin.
Well, Malin is very good at commanding and controlling the zone, and that's the big thing, is being able to control those pitches early in the count. She got behind Ellison, gave up that 3-1 hit back up the middle, but she knows the importance with a power hitter like Davis to try to pitch from ahead.
I beg your pardon, that's Talon Edwards.
Over to Davis, a good turn. Big time double play for Oklahoma State.
Jaden Goodwin, the starting left fielder for Georgia, digs in. And slaps this down the line into left. While Ellison leads the team in batting. Oh, Ruby Malin again. Only one earned run allowed in the last 29 2/3. Was pretty much unhittable in the series against the Baylor Bears, which was a nip and tuck series for Oklahoma State. Lost game one, came back and won the following two, but in the words of Kenny Gajewski, it was a grind.
Well, if there's one thing that you can say about a Baylor Bears team is that they are always gritty, they always grind, they are always competitive, and man, they showed it last weekend. They were tough. They gave Oklahoma State all they could handle.
Took a ninth inning walk-off for the Cowgirls in game 3 to take that series, and now Sarah Gordon with a tying run in scoring position. Second-year Louisville transfer has had a really nice start to the year. One of the most competitive players on the team, in the words of her head coach, Tony Baldwin.
Well, that's what you want.
That was roped and foul.
Well, you can tell right now Georgia's just relaxed. They're just looking to catch a Ruby Malin 68 to 70 mile an hour pitch. You don't need to do a whole lot with your swing. You basically just need to barrel up the ball. See the changes that she's made this year. Jump in the batting average, runs, RBIs. Putting herself in a comfortable position.
And she's somebody too, Michelle, had a lot of expectations transferring in last year. Third team All-American at Louisville. And joined a Georgia team that was stacked with 3 All-Americans. You talked about everything that Georgia lost. She's been put into a leadership role this year, and a chance now to tie it in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, it's interesting. We hear a lot of coaches really talk about their young teams where they've had role players that now become, they're leading role members, that need to actually take that leadership and perform in order for their teams to be competitive and to win. Gordon's one of those athletes.
Fouls off another 3-2. No souvenir.
No.
Kicking right back into the field. As Jaden Goodwin at first base after a 2-out single and extending it to second base on an error in the infield. Meanwhile, Ruby Malin trying to keep the streak alive. Didn't allow a run against Baylor. And
as nice, obviously, a lot of what was built at Love's Field is underneath the stadium. This one obviously out in left field. It's just great to see the University of Georgia and the athletics department, how much they've put into women's sports. It just shows their priorities. You gotta love that.
It's a proud Georgia softball program. Back-to-back trips to the Supers. Of course, last went to the Women's College World Series in 2021. 0-2 to Schneidmiller. Misses low. They're trying to get back there, though, Michelle. And Tony Baldwin said, look, with this group, there's more teaching maybe than in years past because of the youth. But the talent is certainly there for the Bulldogs.
Well, the youth is always means there's just a lot of great stuff to come, right?
That's right.
But it is a lot of teaching, and a lot of coaches will talk about that. How this is a Georgia team that has 1 grad student, 3 seniors, 11 about that. How this is a Georgia team that has 1 grad student, 3 seniors, 11 of the 20 underclassmen. So there's a lot of educating, teaching fundamentals, and remember, just because it's a fundamental of the game, throwing, catching, hitting, it doesn't mean it's easy. It's elite type stuff, and it takes a lot of reps to really learn to be able to compete at this level. They've done a good job with their defense. JT D'Amico is the defensive coach. Tony Baldwin a lot of times handles the hitting. This is a very well-rounded coaching staff for Georgia that knows they got to grind through and teach these young athletes.
Georgia started the year 14-0. Now have a record of 23-8, 3-6 in the SEC. The competition has stiffened quickly, and that includes here tonight against Oklahoma State.
But that's what you want. Iron forges iron, right? You're not going to get better when you're playing teams that are not either at your level or below you. I mean, you get better when you are pounded by that steel, right? That iron. You got to figure it out quickly.
Nice at bat there by Schneidmiller, who is getting the start behind the plate tonight in the place of Amanda Hassler, and draws a 1-out walk. Second walk of the day issued by Randy Rolling.
And that walk in the first inning to Rosie Davis did end up coming around and scoring.
And this is a dangerous in Bloodworth, having her best season at the plate, and right now on pace to have career highs in pretty much every offensive category.
Yeah, she has just been outstanding this year. Quite a few athletes on this Oklahoma State squad from Georgia. It's almost like a homecoming for them.
No doubt. And there are some serious Cowgirl fans in attendance up the first base line tonight. Of course, Bloodworth from Cordell, Georgia, the third-year transfer from Alabama. Takes this into the gap in left center. And charging in to make the play, Dallas Goodnight. Also began her career at Alabama. 2 down. And now back to the top of the order. Megan Delgadillo with a chance to extend the inning and potentially the 1-run lead here in the top of the second.
Delgadillo with that on-base percentage close to 500. She's one of those speedsters you try to keep off the bases. Active career leader in stolen bases. Quite a few categories, actually. I believe it's games played.
No doubt.
Just,
and hits.
yes. 303 hits, I think, coming into tonight.
Takes a ball, runner takes off. It was bobbled behind home by Marie. Chopped to first. Ellison takes care of business, and Randy Rolling is out of the inning. Oklahoma
History of power throughout the lineup. You know, we talk a lot about the Oppo G here, the big Georgia G out in the outfield that is in the power alleys, and this is a program that prides themselves on being able to leave the park. Have not done that quite as much this year, but trust me, they're working on it.
0-2 to Marissa Miller. They graduated over half of their home runs hit from last year, including 2 20 home run hitters. in a single season, particularly in the SEC. I mean, that's crazy.
It's crazy. And you can't just pluck those people out of the recruiting
You can't?
portable.
They don't grow on trees around here.
It's tough to, to try to fill those gaps when they do graduate. And, sometimes you do have that little bit of a hangover when that power leaves. Like, what's the identity now of our offense?
Like you mentioned, Michelle, that the identity of this Georgia program since Tony Baldwin took over as the head coach has been a monster power-hitting team. 90-plus each of the last 3 seasons. This year, just 32.
Yeah, so you see that slugging percentage below 500. So still trying to figure some stuff out. And we talked pretty frankly with Coach Baldwin before this game about hitting. Are they still working when we say apogee, that just means like inside out. You're trying to barrel up the inside of the ball, which makes it tough for pitchers to throw to. And he mentioned, he's like, we've gotten away from that a little bit, but he's like, I'm not quite seeing the results that I like. We've gone back to it, making sure that we're really keeping that barrel inside, and really, if you're a righty, trying to hit to the right side. If you're a lefty, trying to hit left side.
Second strikeout for Ruby Malin, 1 down.
Strikeout of the game.
Well, Emily Digby may only be a sophomore, but she is seasoned at this point in her sophomore year. Was the only freshman last year to start all 62 games. They've liked what she's done in the middle of their order.
Yeah, she was a massive get for them. Just so much experience last year playing with all those seniors on a really talented team. Great job so far. 2 good takes off of Malin, which is tough to do because she throws those competitive rise balls up at your eyes. Hard to lay off those, but Digby doing a good job so far.
Malin coming into the week 3rd in the Big 12 in strikeouts. 113 in less than 89 innings pitched.
Yeah, you're going to get your lion's share of strikeouts from Ruby. Talked about her speed, her spin, her spots, just the way that she's able to finesse that strike zone. So she's up near 70 miles an hour. She's got great spin that she can vertically move that zone, so she'll throw the drop ball low at your knees, rise ball up at your eyes.
So as a hitter, when you're coming into a game against a dominant strikeout pitcher, how does that change maybe your strategy at the plate?
Well, I think first you have to know your tools. Like, are you a better low ball hitter or high ball hitter? I was a better low ball hitter, so I would absolutely lay off rise balls, or try to. Not easier said than done. I would look for something low.
Big shift on in the infield for the freshman Williams. Time called for a meeting in the circle.
Carrie Eberly going to go out and talk a little bit with Ruby Malin, probably talking about locations. And back to your question to me, like, how do you hit a dominant pitcher like Malin? You got to have a plan. You can't go up there just swinging at everything. You got to be looking either high or low, depending on what your strengths are. And then you also have to know the strike zone from the umpire, right? He hasn't really called the top of the zone, which is common in our sport. He's called more low, so you've got to know that, okay, if the umpire is giving you lower half of the zone, then more than likely that's where you want to be hunting.
Well, we've already seen Tony Baldwin's team barrel up a few balls in this game against Malin. A couple of hard hit singles in the first inning, and the triple off the wall by Digby. And now an 0-1 count to Williams.
A couple of freshmen here for Georgia coming up. I'm sure that was part of the other discussion from Carrie Everly is to try to work from ahead, try to attack.
She's ahead here, 1-2.
And they can tell that Williams is more pull from that right side. Look at the defensive configuration for Oklahoma State. That's Rosie Davis now on the shortstop side of second base. So they are left side heavy. Williams on those inner half and really shifting that defense around as well as pitching on that inner half.
You mentioned freshman heavy, bottom part of the order. Allen, the freshman from Louisville, Texas. 4 of her 10 hits this year have been doubles. They'd love to get the game-tying extra base out of her here in the 8th spot with 2 down.
Run, show, and bunt. In that situation with 2 outs, more than likely, you don't really want to show a bunt. You want to use your strikes, right? You need all the strikes that you can get against a pitcher like Malin. So now you're down 1-2 after basically giving up that show of a bunt on that first strike. So it's all those little things that sometimes freshmen that you learn early in your career that, like, that's 33% of your strikes in that at bat. Don't give it away.
Chopper will get through and tie the game. In to score is Digby. And a 2-out RBI single by the freshman Paisley Allen.
Great job by the freshman to knot up this game.
Just the second run allowed by Ruby Malin in the last 31 innings. And she did not allow a run in 3 outings against Baylor. Goodnight with elite speed, batting in the 9th spot. And ahead in the count, 2-1.
Goodnight is a tough 9-hole hitter, as you mentioned, Matt, with that speed, senior leadership, a lot of experience, knows what she's hunting. Laying off that pitch on the inner half. Ruby Malin does a good job of being able to throw lefties on the inner half. I think that's what she's going to need to continue to do against the lefties for Georgia. Dallas Goodnight just going around first base. She collects it there at third, but a couple of defensive miscues for Oklahoma State, and Georgia's taking the lead.
Lively crowd on a Wednesday night here at Jack Turner Stadium. And they are loving this 2-out rally by the Georgia Bulldogs. Who this year have had to find ways to manufacture runs. Maybe a little bit more than in years past, as we've chronicled with the power numbers a bit down. One thing you can't say about this team is that they lack speed. They have it from top to bottom in this lineup.
Well, and I think those are the things they're figuring out. The ball may not be leaving the yard like it has in the past, but this is a team that can create some chaos.
And Georgia tonight, a couple of big 2-out hits, particularly in this inning, including the RBI single by Dallas Goodnight.
Yeah, some of the lowest 2-out RBIs in the SEC, but not tonight. They've done a great job here attacking. 2 consecutive hits with 2 outs.
And Goodnight was behind in the count.
Yeah. And they've done a good job of working back even or being able to hit with 2 strikes as well as with 2 outs.
Ellison goes down swinging. Strikeout number 4 you used to be part of, Michelle Smith. 5 straight trips to the Women's College World Series, all without a national championship. It's something that drives this program deep in their bones, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that graphic right there. 12 appearances at the Women's College World Series, have not been able to secure that title. But also 5 consecutive World Series appearances. The only other program to do that is Oklahoma. So Kenny Gajewski has built this program despite 90 miles down the road having Oklahoma, who has just won 4 consecutive national championships. So that's not easy to do. You know, Patty Gasso and company have really just set a gold standard, and a lot of people trying to catch up and keep up with that. And you know, Kenny Gajewski has talked a lot about how you know, that program down the road has helped motivate them to continue to try to win their first national championship.
Is that what you call it in Stilly? The program down the road?
I think they both refer to each other's
I think you're
program
right.
that way.
To Amanda Hassler. Well, not only that, but Kenny Gajewski's won 45 games or more each of the last 4 seasons. He's won 70% of his games now in his 10th year as the head coach. He just brought winning to Stillwater, and that ball gets away from Miller, and up to second goes Rosie Davis.
Well, he knows how to win. He won a national championship as a baseball player for the University of Oklahoma. And so, you know, he knows a lot about winning. He was on that national championship team with Tim Walton.
Well, he's made some changes, not only coming into the year, but mid-season.
Yeah.
He is back coaching at third base after he spent the first 23 games in the dugout, even when his offense was at the plate. And it was a change that he made with his staff. Of course, Vanessa Shippey Fisher also moved from the dugout over to first base, so they're trying to find ways to adjust and create that spark.
Some damage. 7th home run of the year given up by Roland.
And the 3rd home run in as many games for the reigning Big 12 Player of the Week, Amanda Hassler. She is on the heater of all heaters right now for the Cowgirls.
Well, both these clubs have shown, you know, they're competitive, right? So Oklahoma State scores, Georgia responds. Georgia scores, Oklahoma State responds. And that's, you know, as a coach, that's what you want. You want your kids competing, your student athletes out there battling. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride this year for both of these programs, both these coaching staffs trying to make adjustments mid-year to get the most out of their players.
Strike one to Carly Godwin.
Godwin, another one of those athletes that can hit the long ball, can hit for power as well as average. She's got 4 home runs on the year.
Randy Rolling trying to battle back here. After seeing the 2-1 lead, grabbed in the bottom of the 2nd, given right back up here in the top of the 3rd. And we'll get a completed strikeout of Godwin and the first out of the inning. Well, they were ranked, Oklahoma State was, top 5 in the preseason poll. But due to weather, due to the wildfires in the state of Oklahoma, they've had 4 games lost, and they've actually played the 4th fewest games of anybody in Power 4. Kenny G told us we're desperate right now to find extra games wherever we can on our schedule.
Yeah, I mean, he is coming on this road trip. It's 4 games in 4 days, but he was hoping it would be 5 or 6 games in 4 days. He knows they need the reps, and losing those 4 games, a couple in Arkansas, due to weather early in the year, and then, yeah, all those wildfires, over 200 homes burnt down in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So it was a pretty traumatic, couple of weeks. So this team has been through a lot of different things, and at this point, he's like, all right, we need reps. We need to play.
There can be and you know this better than anybody, with a program like Oklahoma State, maybe not starting out the Big 12 the way many thought, 4-3, after being picked to win the conference, this idea that the sky is falling on the program. But you don't get that sense talking to Kenny Gajewski, who's also somebody that speaks very candidly about what's going on in his program. He was very relaxed in our call this week.
Yeah, he's super honest, and he speaks to us like an open book, just like he does to his players. I mean, you don't have to wonder what he's thinking, because he will definitely tell you, and it's great to be able to play for a coach like that. But there has been a little bit of angst, I guess you could say, around the performance of the team, just based on the expectation. But expectations are just that. They're just what people think you should do. It doesn't mean you're going to do them. So you got to go out and grind and battle every single day, every pitch of every game.
Well, and there's this outside assumption that now that Texas and Oklahoma are no longer in the Big 12, that Oklahoma State should just run through the conference.
Yeah, and it's like, wait a second.
Hey, Arizona's playing really well.
100%.
Texas Tech, of course.
Nigel Kennedy shows up, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, wait. It might look different, but there's still a lot of people battling at the top.
And regular NCAA tournament contenders in that conference. Even with Texas and Oklahoma moving on to the Big 12, to the SEC rather. And now a 1-2 count to Tia Warsop.
Well, I think another program you couldn't look past in the Big 12 is UCF. I mean, that's a program that went into Arizona and beat Arizona, won that series. So, yeah, there's a lot of talent in that Big 12 conference still, even though Oklahoma and Texas left.
Punch down the line and foul. You could throw BYU in there.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about them later in the show, but their pitching staff has been a bit of a revelation this year.
Which is impressive when you think that they're thrown up at altitude. I mean, anytime you can have a good pitching staff and when you're, a mile above sea level.
The Colorado Rockies pitching staff has been good.
Having a good year.
To your point, win streaks being snapped that maybe raised some eyebrows. Oklahoma's win streak being snapped last week by a Missouri team that, again, outside looking in, people saying, it's a down year for Coach Anderson and the Tigers. Not so fast.
Not so fast. Larissa Anderson, one of the best coaches. I mean, and any of these coaches obviously hold positions here in the SEC. I mean, she's a pitching savant. She just knows how to get the most out of her bullpens. And, if you can shut down an offense like Oklahoma, you know you're doing some things right in that bullpen.
No undefeated teams left in Division I college softball.
Well, there shouldn't be. Baseball and softball, right? It's a game of challenges and ups and downs. And
yeah, when hitting 300 is sort of the benchmark, there shouldn't be any undefeated teams. Failure is part of the game.
Exactly. Exactly. You gotta have a great mindset in this sport.
Down goes Lindsay.
Back into that fence, especially with the speed of Goodwin out there.
One to Gordon with the tying run in scoring position for Georgia. They trailed 1-0 after the first, responded in the bottom of the second with 2 runs. Oklahoma State swinging back top half of this inning. Another chance to see Tony Baldwin's team respond now, second time through the order against Ruby Malin.
Yeah, they've been aggressive. They've done a great job of hitting Malin, who does not give up a lot of hits. They've had multiple hits in the first and second inning, double here in the third.
Maitland working on her 6th strikeout. Georgia has been in so many close games. Lost 1-run games to South Carolina twice. Tied against LSU in the 7th. Had a 1-run lead in the 6th against Tennessee. Bouncing ball to short. And 2 down. The theme in those losses, Michelle, was maybe just a clutch hit or a clutch pitch away from flipping the result. You just get the sense with the way this game has gone, a big 2-out opportunity right here with a tying run in scoring position.
Yeah, 100%. When you've got runners in scoring position, that's when those hits have to show up with 2 strikes, with 2 outs. Runners in scoring position.
Miller will cue it right back to Maitland, who gets out of the inning, stranding a runner in scoring position. And we will talk out Baylor in all 3 of her appearances last weekend.
Yeah, you know, that's just part of the game. You're going to go out, and some weekends the ball's just going to effortlessly come out of your hand. And then there's other games where, you know, the ball might not be breaking or spinning or facing a completely different lineup. They can barrel it up. This is a great Georgia team on both sides of the ball.
Oh, Claire Tim grounded out to second base in her first at bat against Randy Rolling, who gave up a 2-run homer to Amanda Hassler last inning, relinquishing a brief Georgia lead in this game.
Tim just a little bit early on that 62-mile-an-hour pitch. This Oklahoma State team has struggled a little bit with lefties. If you look at their situational stats, which I always dig into before any game that I'm calling, 3 of their 7 losses have been to left-handed pitchers.
And you know you're going to get a lot of lefty against Georgia.
Yes, you do. Both of their aces are left-handed. So Lily Backus as well as Roland, who was out here tonight. And there's a good look at it. Versus right-handed pitchers, they're well above 330. And versus lefties, they're at that 244 mark. And so this is a program. They're very good at doing what they do. We talked to Coach Gajewski about that. They said, hey, we're gonna be us. He might slide the lineup around a little bit, but not a lot. He's like, hey, this is what we do, and this is where we have to be strong.
Well, Schneidmiller walked in her first at bat, then stole a base, the first of her season.
That's right. Couple of bats in this lineup that haven't always been regulars. If you follow Oklahoma State, not starting tonight was Michaela Wark. So there's a couple of, I think, folks out there that Kenny Gajewski is maybe trying to send a little message to, like, hey, we've got to be better. And if you're not better, someone else is going to come off the bench to attempt to be better.
Big opportunity for Schneidmiller. She's only taken 18 at bats this year.
Great behind the dish. Opportunity to give Amanda Hassler a little bit of time off from the legs.
Takes a strike on the edge. Full count. Yeah, for Hassler, you get the break from behind the plate, but your bat's too good. We got to keep you in the lineup.
It is absolutely singing.
How about the bat of Schneidmiller? 1-out single.
It's a great job by Schneidmiller. So 3-1 count.
And passes the bat to Megan Bloodworth in the 9 spot.
I think this is one of the student athletes that's really made a massive difference for Oklahoma State this year. Bloodworth is at 300 plus batting average.
Flies out to Paisley Allen.
Bloodworth has been doing a good job in the defensive role, leadership role. Ends up popping out to Allen, but just doing a lot of things right for Oklahoma State this year. Rolling over that lineup, it's been a big part of it too, between Bloodworth in the 9-hole to Cheese in the leadoff spot.
Chopper up the middle, and a diving play at short is made by Emily Digby. Come on.
Awesome.
Getting Georgia out of the inning.
Emily Digby.
Emily Digby, who made that excellent play at shortstop to end last inning, leads things off. She has found a recipe for success today against Malin, despite how well Malin has pitched. A triple off the wall that could have been a home run with how well it was hit.
It was well struck the opposite way. Digby just a lot of different tools, very talented.
And a winner. You know, Tony Baldwin recruited her coming into last season. She was a shortstop through and through, but she wanted to be on the field. So she moved over to first base, learned that position, excelled at it, Michelle, and now with all the departures, she's able to slide back over to her natural position.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, when you have the ability to do that, it just expands your roster. Tony Baldwin is smart. He knows, you know, giving a freshman that amount of playing time is going to reap massive dividends down the road.
Six strikeouts tonight for Ruby Malin and one down in the fourth.
Well, Ruby's strikeout at Digby.
Kenny Gajewski has had his share of excellent pitchers, particularly transfer pitchers. And yet he said, Michelle, Ruby Malin is among the best they've ever had in his decade coaching at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, absolutely. She brings a lot of energy, a lot of fire, obviously a great drop ball, rise ball. I mean, but it really started with Carrie Eberly, who's now back as the pitching coach for Oklahoma State. Sam Schau, who transferred over from Texas A&M. That was a huge get. She was a two-way player. And just a lot of great talent coming through that portal for her. And I think Kenny Gajewski does, there's a good look at Carrie Eberly, All-American. She transferred over from Virginia Tech. So he does a good job of actually helping players fall back in love with the sport again.
Told us that Ruby Malin just has a high care factor. Came in wanting to lead but didn't know how because she'd never been in that position before. Now she's thrust into that position at Oklahoma State. Ooh. And catches Mua Williams, who will go up to first with one down. Now she's learning how to lead, and that is reverberating throughout the rest of the team.
There's a lot of responsibility that comes with being in the circle.
Williams being looked at here over at first base. Appears like she's going to stay in the game. You can hear the pop from up here.
Yeah. Never feels good to get hit by a 70-mile-an-hour pitch.
No. Nice one.
Nice.
You're at Jack Turner Stadium.
Yeah, you can go back and forth between the hot and the
The
cold.
hot and the cold.
Probably
Corner
stay with
infield drawn in for Paisley Allen.
probably stay with the cold for the first 24 hours, then go to
And
the
then go hot.
That's right.
Tell you what, Allen had a nice at bat her last time up. She was behind in the count, Michelle, in the second inning. Then an RBI single to put Georgia on the board.
Yeah, drop ball in the outer half. She was able to get around it. So they're going to come back inside a little bit more. Bloodworth, shortstop for Oklahoma State, still pretty far up the middle on that last pitch. So that wide gap, that 5-6 hole.
Williams does have 2 stolen bases this year. She represents the tying run. Chopper, left side, and through for a 1-out single. And it's back-to-back base knocks tonight for Paisley Allen.
Paisley Allen is showing that she likes to hit some.
The game wears along. The bottom part of Tony Baldwin's lineup tonight, more and more productive, including Dallas Goodnight, who will take her second AB. Had that RBI single back in the second inning, and then with a pair of errors found herself on third base after knocking it into left field. Molly Mitchell will come in to pinch run at second base for Mua Williams. Tying run in scoring position for Georgia here in the bottom of the fourth. And you heard Tony Baldwin talk about game management, taking advantage of situationals. This is a big opportunity with 2 on, 1 down, and a 1-run deficit.
It's a big part of the game, understanding what your role is, how you're hitting with runners in scoring position. One of the lower teams in the SEC, you'd like to see that RISP number up in the 330s.
Goodnight sprays it into left field, down for a base hit. Here comes Mitchell, the throw from Warsop, off the line, and Georgia ties it on an RBI base knock by Dallas Goodnight.
8 and 9 have been out. Georgia not in this game, back up.
And still threatening as they flip it back to the top of the order with Tyler Ellison. Only 1 out. And the go-ahead run in scoring position. Well, that gets away from Schneidmiller.
Some mistakes for Oklahoma State. 4 errors, I believe, already.
And as you talked about, Michelle, Schneidmiller typically very sure-handed defensively, though she is starting tonight in place of the usual catcher, Amanda Hassler. Didn't even look like Talon Edwards was necessarily ready for that snap throw.
Yeah. The throw went back behind her. And when you're set up with your back to the line, you can't really move if that throw comes behind you.
Strikeout number 7, Ruby Malin battling back here through some adversity. 2 down in the fourth. Interesting game this has been. Back and forth. Some miscues in the field. Good base running. Highly competitive between 2 teams that maybe haven't had the starts to their conference play that they anticipated. Both head coaches, Tony Baldwin, Kenny Gajewski, in their own words, describing this midweek top 20 opportunity as one to gain some momentum. You feel that competitiveness in the stadium right now.
Absolutely. You know, this is ultimately what you want. You want to be in those pressure situations. You want your defense to be spun around to learn, hey, this is when we hold the ball. This is when we throw the ball.
When the pressure's on and the screws tighten a little bit. I got to imagine making those decisions a little bit tougher than in practice.
Yeah, well, the ramifications, right, of those mistakes, those miscues. Oklahoma State 22 errors coming into tonight's game. Georgia's done a good job of really setting them back on their heels, spinning them around.
Good night over at third base. Lindy Ray Davis with a 2-2 count. And goes down looking, a strikeout on the outer edge in the 8th of the game for Ruby Malin. But Georgia plates 2. Some early adversity here at home against Oklahoma State.
Both these clubs have been punched and have recovered.
That's the response that Tony Baldwin wanted to see, right? With a young team.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. I mean, the last thing you want to see your team do is kind of fall apart when the adversity shows up. You want to see them kind of be gritty and challenge.
Oh, high fly ball. Warning track distance. And there is Jaden Goodwin. One down. Maybe lost it in the lights a little bit. Night has fallen here at Jack Turner Stadium. Third time through the lineup and a little visit to the circle here with Amanda Hassler due up next for Oklahoma State. Do you pitch her here or do you go around her, Michelle?
I think you have to be very careful. I mean, you're fortunate she's not leading off. You do have one out, so if you were to walk her, you're not walking the lead off, but I think you definitely have to challenge her.
2-run bomb in her last at bat. Scorched down the left field line.
Couple of good pitchers. Hassler does not bite at them out of the zone.
Take strike one. Hassler, last 10 games coming into tonight, batting a team best .444. She went 5 for 7 with 8 outer half and a full count to Hassler after she was ahead in the count 3-0. Wouldn't this be a big out for Randy Rowland?
Hassler does not walk a lot. Only 3 walks on the year.
Rolling, hunting her 4th strikeout. And she gets it here, a big strikeout of Amanda Hassler.
Man, look at the energy.
Two down and the bases clear for Carly Godwin. Godwin has singled off rolling tonight. She has also struck out. Down in the count 1-2. Preseason All-American coming off a monster freshman year. And part of this sophomore season has been about managing adjustments, managing expectations. Full count. You know something about that.
Yes. You know, it's really just about your focus, your mindset. It's controlling what you can control.
And knowing, too, that the scout is on you now. Maybe as a freshman you can fly under the radar a little bit, but the tape is out, the book is out, and you have to adjust to that.
Yeah, 100%. You've got to understand that while you're scouting your opponent, they're scouting you, they're scouting your weaknesses, and you have to make adjustments.
Adjustment there to lay off that outside breaking ball, and rolling has issued a 2-out walk to Carly Godwin. Her second time aboard today, and passes the bat to Talon Edwards. Edwards has already driven in 1 run tonight. Tying run is aboard now in the fifth rather, with 2 down for Oklahoma State. Edwards handcuffed and rolling. Sets down the side. 1-run lead for Georgia as we head to the home half of the 5th. Late in.
Very good job of barreling her up at times, but nothing, just showing why she is one of the top pitchers, one of the top aces in this game.
Has been relied upon maybe more than expected this year, Michelle, with Riley Crandall dealing with the injury. We have not seen Riley since February, though Kenny Gajewski did allude to us maybe seeing her this week on their road swing through the state of Georgia.
And to your point, Matt, that has been a heavy toll, both physically and emotionally, on Ruby. I mean, it's not just the pitches, it's the emotion of.
Got that crack by Goodwin. Lasered into the gap. She is 3 for 3 today with a pair of doubles. And now passes the bat to Sarah Gordon. Now, Tony Baldwin said of Jaden Goodwin, she has SEC Player of the Year potential. We are seeing that in a career best season at the plate for the junior from Paris, Kentucky. And now a 2-0 count to Sarah Gordon. Goodwin has some speed too over there at second base. Already 4 stolen bags this year. Double barrel activity in the Oklahoma State bullpen. How much longer will Kenny Gajewski keep Ruby Malin in the circle?
Pitch count already approaching 100, 94 right now.
Gordon up the middle into center field. Here comes Goodwin, and she will score. Megan Delgadillo having some trouble in center fielding that ball, and a 2-run lead for the Bulldogs.
And so that bobble out in center field allows another run to get pushed across the plate.
Anna Davila will pinch hit here from Marissa Miller in the 5 spot for the Bulldogs, who continue to apply pressure with the speed on the base path tonight against Oklahoma State. Davila drops down a bunt. Malin to first. Davila does her job, pushing Gordon up to second base. First out of the inning, and now Emily Digby's turn to come to the plate for Georgia.
Well, and that's the pitch that I feel like Ruby Malin really needs to try to add. It's an off-speed pitch. It's a little bit elevated. If she can make that a little more competitive, it'll definitely help out her game.
Another scorcher off the bat of Digby, who, remember, tripled to opposite field in her first at-bat against Malin.
Ball off the wall that almost got out of the yard. And, you know, Malin, with all that velocity up 70 miles an hour, you don't have to swing hard. You know, for her, it's a lot about keeping people and keeping hitters off balance. Georgia's done a good job of staying on balance. The Georgia team with 10 hits on the evening. Season high is 12 hits.
Up the middle and into center field. Will they send Gordon? No, as Delgadillo brings it back into the infield. Now runners at the corners and one down in the bottom of the fifth. 3 hits in the inning for Georgia. And does Kenny Gajewski make a change here?
Well, Georgia's done a good job of consecutiveness. They have had back-to-back hits in the second, fourth, and now fifth innings.
Malin is now at 100 pitches. As we talked about near the top of the show, made 3 consecutive appearances in the series win against Baylor. Threw a lot of pitches in that series, was excellent. And at least for now, Kenny Gajewski will roll the dice with Malin against Mua Williams. Third time through the order for Georgia.
Infield for Oklahoma State pulled up. I think the defense has definitely not helped Malin out. Every outfielder has had an error. Infield positioning. I think Oklahoma State will go back and watch this film and try to figure out where they could be better defensively behind their All-American in the circle.
4 errors a season high for Kenny Gajewski's defense, and 3 of Georgia's 5 runs unearned. 2-1 to Williams. Bunt.
A play that Edwards needs to attack a little bit better, that needs to not get to Malin. By the time it gets to Malin, the runner absolutely going to be safe at home.
Well, this has been a back and forth affair all night. But 3 runs, the largest lead of the game for either team. And Paisley Allen has been a tough out in this game. Pair of singles, 2 runs scored and an RBI in the 8-hole for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, 6, 7, and 8 have been 6, 7, 8, and 9, excuse me, have been outstanding for Georgia. 6 hits between those 4 hitters.
6 of the 11 hits coming by the bottom 4 in the lineup, and multiple runs batted in. Ball in the dirt, and enough to allow Digby to skirt up to third base. It has not been the cleanest night in the field for Oklahoma State. In the left, tracking at Warsop, and that'll end the inning. But Georgia plates 2 more, and they lead it by 3, end of 5. For 70% of the staff's innings pitched this year, and she will come back to the circle here for the top of the 6th. Taking on 6, 7, and 8 in the Oklahoma State lineup, starting with Tia Warsup. And actually, they're going to send, I believe, Hathout out here to pinch hit for Warsaw. First at bat for Rachel Hathout. Lily Backus getting loose for Georgia. Tony Baldwin joked with us, said it's no secrets with our staff. It's a heavy dose of left-handed pitching as Hathout drills this into right field. And a leadoff single. First team all Mountain West selections. Passes the bat to Claire Tim here with a 3-run deficit and 6 outs to work with. Tim struggling a little bit this year compared to last season. Finished top 5 on the team in every major offensive category. Hitting above 320. This year she's been below 150. Ooh, got popped. But was that off the bat? That is what home plate umpire Scott Mayer is saying. And Kenny Gajewski.
Yeah.
But Tim comes right back and flares it into right field. Her first hit of the game. And now the tying run coming to the plate for Oklahoma State. You know that base knock has to feel good for Claire Tim.
Yeah, exactly. Being honest, like not trying to fake, like, hey, I got hit, you know, stays in the box, takes a 1-2 count into right field. Nice piece of hitting. And as you mentioned, you know, struggled a little bit this year. Opportunity to get some time out in right field.
As it stands, first and second for Audrey Schneidmiller. And still Randy rolling in the circle for Georgia. Both coaches, Michelle, late in the game, 100 pitches plus, electing to stay with their starter.
Rowling has done a really good job. She's pitched out of jams multiple times in this game. And maybe you stay with her a little bit longer because your ace B, Lily Backus, is similar to your ace A in Randy Rowling.
She battles right back to get it ahead in the count 0-2 on Schneidmiller.
And she's done a good job of getting to a position where she can pitch from ahead. Rise ball coming in at 63 miles an hour. She's done a good job of really placing it at the top part of the zone. Competitive pitches. Oklahoma State's had to make some tough decisions on that pitch.
1-2 to Schneidmiller. Putting together another nice at bat. Walked in her first plate appearance, then singled back in the fourth. Just her 4th hit of the year. Just foul. Upstairs, 2-2 to Schneidmiller.
That's a nice pitch, and Schneidmiller, that is a nice take. Not allowing Rolling to expand that zone on the upper half.
Tying run at the plate. Just outside and a full count to the Oklahoma. Hate that if you're Schneidmiller. It's impressive.
Yeah, or you're just like, I didn't really see it and I can't swing at it and I hope it's a ball. I've had a couple of those in my
One of
career.
the things that Tony Baldwin said about Randy Rolling, she does such a good job of creating visual challenges for opposing hitters. Another full count. And that is a strikeout of Schneidmiller.
And that rise ball, Rolling comes in, 5th strikeout.
We now will see Michaela Wark, a usual starter, not in the lineup tonight for Kenny Gajewski. Will bat in the 9th spot in place of Megan Bloodworth. And it appears Randy Rolling will remain in the game for at least another batter. Megan Delgadillo awaits on deck. It would be the 4th time through the order if Rolling pitched to Delgadillo. First, she's got to get through Wark. Wark coming off back-to-back seasons with at least 10 home runs. Hasn't quite had the same start this year. Also coming off double knee surgery in the offseason.
That's right. Had a long recovery. 6 home runs on the year, 250 average, but lots of power.
Maybe the most dangerous hitter batting 250 you're going to find
Exactly.
at this point in the season.
Those are the ones you always worry about.
Two on, one down, top of the 6th. Wark flies it out of play and foul. And she's had her journey with injuries. Redshirted her freshman year at Kansas due to an injury, then decided to transfer. And at the time, that was her 2nd season-ending injury. She had one late in high school as well. Takes ball 2. Kenny Gajewski told us she didn't swing the bat at all in the fall. And then when she returned in January, she was swinging it super well. It just hasn't quite yet translated in a game situation. This and 2 outs.
They actually re-enter Bloodworth in.
So the deficit cut to 2. Delgadillo sprays it into right field, and that extends the inning. A 2-out base knock for the leadoff hitter, her first time with a base hit in this game. Fourth time through the Oklahoma State lineup for Randy Rolling. She is nearing 120 pitches tonight.
And these next 4 batters for Oklahoma State is where the majority of the power is. Davis, Hassler, and Godwin.
It's also where 4 of Oklahoma State's 8 hits have come from tonight. This meat of the lineup. Rosie Davis has already scored twice. And right behind her, Amanda Hassler had that 2-run homer in the 3rd.
Davis skied a deep, deep ball to left field her last at bat. And as you mentioned, 4th time through the lineup, it starts getting pretty tricky trying to fool these hitters.
Tying run aboard for Oklahoma State, who has managed to just hang around despite 4 errors and giving up 11 hits to Georgia's offense. The 2-1. And the hitters count now to Rosie Davis, with Hassler just hoping she gets a chance with the bases loaded here. The reigning Big 12 Player of the Week on deck for the Cowgirls.
This is a big pitch for rolling. 3-1 hitters count for Rosie Davis.
She has homered in 3 consecutive games, and I don't know that Randy Rolling will get another shot at her. Out of the dugout comes Tony Baldwin.
Yeah, it's a tough decision. 124 pitch.
Go-ahead run aboard for Oklahoma State. And nowhere to put arguably the hottest hitter in the Big 12 right now, Amanda Hassler. Two-0. Hassler was the hero in Game 3 of a tightly contested series with Baylor on Sunday. Homered in the 9th to walk it off for Oklahoma State. And has a chance again here in the 6th to swing the hero bat yet again. 2-1 from Backus.
Sitting all outside.
Tying run at second base. Go ahead run at first. Bases loaded, 2 outs in the 2-2 pitch from Backus. Hassler popped up right side, and it will get out of play. Backus has been pitching as well as she has all year in the last week or two, according to her head coach, Tony Baldwin. High leverage relief opportunity here for the senior from Peachtree, Georgia. Gets a slow roller to third. Charging in to make the play is Williams, and Backus comes in and slams the door on.
Make that change, and he does that. Backus has been outstanding in relief appearances this year, and I love the way also he gave a lot of credit to Williams, the freshman third baseman. That is a huge play. A slow roller in that 5-6 hole makes that play with the bases loaded.
Meanwhile, Katie Coots will come in to relieve Ruby Malin here in the bottom of the 6th. Sharply hit ball off the bat of Dallas Goodnight, and a 3-for-3 night for the senior center fielder. And Michelle, how good have the 6 through 9 hitters been tonight for Georgia?
Yeah, just outstanding. When you continue to roll over the lineup, it just makes it so much easier to put runs up on the board. Look at that, 7 hits, 3 RBIs on the evening. You know, and Tony Baldwin told us, you know, coming into this game this evening, he mentioned that when we get 10 or more runners on base, he said his record was like what was it, like 22 and 1 or 22 and 2. So the point is they're really good when they get a lot of runners on base. They have had a lot of runners on base today.
And that's been the struggle in these close one-run games that haven't quite gone their way. Remember, they had those 2 one-run losses to South Carolina. They were tied with Tennessee. They had a lead on LSU. Unable to win those 4 games. As this is shot in the right field and down for a base hit. Misplayed by Tim. And Goodnight is up to third. Flipping the lineup over to Tyler Ellison, who has her second base hit of the game.
Hesitant, not sure if she should try to go get that in the air or let it bounce. A little bit of a bobble allows Goodnight to get the third.
Georgia lacked timely hitting in those losses. They have had timely hitting in bunches tonight against Oklahoma State, and a very good transfer pitcher in Ruby Malin. And now working against Katie Coots is Lindy Ray Davis in the 2 spot.
Another suicide attempt by Georgia. They are trying to take advantage of Oklahoma State's defense playing back. Thinking, all right, we got Lindy Ray Davis, more of a power hitter up. You don't always think suicide squeeze.
Well, he talked about it. Tony Baldwin having to get a little more creative this year, lacking some of the power that he's had in years past. 1-2 is crushed, but foul by Davis. Doesn't stop for Georgia after this game. They go on the road to Tuscaloosa for a 3-game series with Alabama next. This would be a major momentum win for the Bulldogs. Davis to first. The throw home is not in time. A great slide by Dallas Goodnight. And now Precious Bross will come into pinch run for Lindy Ray Davis at first. Another speedy runner at second base in Ellison. They said Ellison took third after the ball was dead, and so she had to go back to second base. But with Jaden Goodwin at the plate, what a night she's had. A pair of doubles, a single, and a run scored. She and Dallas Goodnight have been terrific. And the first out of the inning. Gordon in the right field. It's 5 errors, a season high for Oklahoma State, who again has not played a ton of regular softball this season because of weather and the wildfires and games getting canceled and rescheduled. And part of this week is sort of just shaking the rust off.
Yeah.
Getting back into the rhythm, Michelle, of playing every other day or every couple of days.
Well, and that it's not going to be easy. I mean,
Right.
you've got to grind. They had to grind against Baylor. They should know coming in anytime you take on any Power 4 program, it's going to be a battle this year.
Well, and frankly, Georgia's record can be very deceiving.
100%.
If you don't know anything about the schedule that they've played, at the time, 3 top 10 opponents to begin SEC play. And again, we talked about it early. They handed LSU one of its 2 losses this year. Rolled to second. A look to home will keep the runner at bay. And now 2 down in the 6th. That has to be one of the toughest first 3 weekends in conference play of anybody in the country.
Yeah, 100%. And don't let Auburn fool you. They had a massively hot start. Now, granted, they've stubbed their toe in SEC play and are 0-9, but that was a program that was ranked earlier. Missouri gave Oklahoma their first loss.
Right.
So there are no easy, not even games, there's no easy innings in the SEC. It is going to be a grind.
What do you think the threshold is? This may be a tough question to answer. What do you think the threshold is for wins in SEC play to get into the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think just because of the strength of the conference, there's a good chance that 14 of the 15 make it. I don't know that wins. I don't know that it's going to matter the number of the wins. I think the RPI, your RPI is going to continue to stay high simply because of the number of ranked teams. So I think for your own perspective, your own confidence, it's nice to be at least 500.
Drop third strike, and the strikeout completed, but not before Georgia can play 2 more. They lead by 4 in the final 3 outs of the game for Oklahoma State next.
13 runners this year. Only 3 of those runners have scored. Coming into a bases loaded situation last inning, shutting the door, getting that big ground out. You have a pitcher out of the pen that can do that. That's going to help create some W's.
And we'd be remiss if we did not also mention Randy Rolling making it to 2 outs in the 6th.
100%.
And limiting the amount of work that is required from Backus. It's a slow roller to second base. Allen to first. 2 outs remain for Oklahoma State in a 4-run deficit in the 7th.
You know, and this game is a perfect example of how the year has kind of been. Anyone can beat anyone, and teams will battle back and forth. You think that they're struggling, they can come out, have a great game. I mean, going on right now, Oklahoma is playing at Wichita State. It is 18-12 in the 5th inning. 18-12,
it's
Wichita
like
State.
Score.
It is like a football score. A couple of touchdowns, a field goal.
A safety in there.
Yes, for that math, yes, definitely need the safety. Yeah, it's just crazy. But that's, you know, to me, when people are like, all right, give me your way too early prediction for Oklahoma City in the Women's College World Series, I'm like, no way. I'm like, normally I can at least get 6 or 7 of the 8 teams. This year, I'd be afraid I'd be at 50% or less.
Is this a year maybe more than others that you can remember, one that has more parity?
I think by far this year has the most parity than any year prior.
Wow.
For multiple reasons, but for sure.
1-2 count to Talon Edwards. Singled and drove in the first run of the game to help Oklahoma State take the lead early. Georgia has just clawed back, and I beg your pardon, it's now McDonald batting for Oklahoma State. But Georgia has just clawed back every time Oklahoma State punched, and they have answered the bell. McDonald down the left field line, and a tails foul. McDonald last year began the season as a fringe starter and developed into one of their most trusted bats by the end of the season. Tallied hits in both Women's College World Series games. This year, not unlike some of our other teammates, he's just found it hard to get out of the mud offensively.
Yeah, and that happens sometimes. You got to figure things out. You got to grind. You got to make adjustments. Got to be open to spending more time in the cages and the pens.
Big strikeout from Backus, 2 down. Second AB for Hathoot, singled and scored back in the 6th. Oklahoma State down to its final out here on a Wednesday night in Athens. The 1-2 from Backus. So now Georgia will head to Alabama for yet another top 25 series against the Crimson Tide. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State will take on a very tough Georgia